Midweek update, here is what we are changing and what we are holding compared to yesterday. At quarterback, we are moving the primary build back to Josh Allen at 7,500, dash rank 100, projected 23, only about 8.03% owned, and he draws Pittsburgh, who have one of the worst defenses overall with an opponent rank of 27. He is sitting at 25 fantasy points per game with a recent run of 10, 48, and 24. The why is leverage and ceiling. Yesterday we centered on Jacoby Brissett for salary and role security, but Allen gives us raw slate-breaking upside at single-digit ownership in a favorable overall matchup. The market is reacting to that Week 12 loss where Allen was sacked 8 times and threw 2 picks, which was covered this week, but that same news cycle also reported the Bills are bolstering the roster after the defeat. We expect recency bias to keep ownership down, and we will buy the bounce back at a discount. For a value quarterback, Tyler Show at 4,400 is a tournament punt only. Dash rank 100, projected 15, ownership around 7.73%, and he faces Miami, who have one of the worst defenses overall with an opponent rank of 22. He is at 9 fantasy points per game with recent 10, 19, and 10. He has not started at least 3 games, so projections are unreliable by our rules. The Saints named him QB1, which has been reported, so the role is there, but we will keep him to large field builds for salary flexibility rather than the core. At running back, we are elevating Bijan Robinson to the core at 8,500. Dash rank 100, projected 20, ownership about 23.4%, and he gets the Jets, who have one of the worst defenses overall with an opponent rank of 24. He averages 22 per game with last 3 of 15, 33, and 11. The why is touch density and scoring equity in a favorable overall spot, and multiple recent fantasy columns have reinforced Bijan as a weekly centerpiece in strong matchups. We are still keeping Tyler Allgeier as leverage in large fields at 4,500, projected 7, barely 1% owned, same favorable overall matchup. He sits at 8 per game with recent 6, 10, and 18, and he is direct leverage off Bijan at a fraction of the salary if Atlanta skews run heavy or red zone rotations tilt. In the flex, we are holding Devon Achane at 8,300. Dash rank 100, projected 22, about 11.77% owned, versus New Orleans, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall with an opponent rank of 17. He averages 22 per game with 25, 44, and 17 in the last 3. The why has not changed since yesterday. There were reports that Achane drew trade interest at the deadline, but Miami kept him, and he even spoke on the organization's direction. That supports continued commitment and high-value touches. We are willing to ride this ceiling at modest ownership. At wide receiver, we are holding Nico Collins at 6,700. Dash rank 100, projected 16, around 9.1% owned, and he faces Indianapolis, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall with an opponent rank of 16. He's at 15 per game with recent 9, 24, and 26. He has been singled out in recent fantasy verdict features as a slate swinger, and the sub-10% tag with this projection remains attractive. Nothing changes here. At tight end, we are pivoting off yesterday's Trey McBride pairing and onto George Kittle at 5,300. Dash rank 100, projected 12, only 3% owned, and he draws Cleveland, who have a tough defense overall with an opponent rank of 5. He's averaging 14 per game with an 11, 25, and 23 recent stretch. The why is ownership leverage and build optimization. Kittle's price relief helps us afford Allen without sacrificing ceiling at the position, and his spike weeks fit our tournament approach. We acknowledge the tough overall matchup, but at 3%, the math on ceiling per dollar works. If you are running Allen stacks, Dawson Knox at 3,000 is a viable salary saver attachment. Dash rank 47, projected 6, ownership 4.3%. Same favorable overall matchup with Pittsburgh, who have one of the worst defenses overall with an opponent rank of 27. He offers cheap access to red zone looks. Joshua Palmer is a deep punt at 3,600 with a 6-point projection and about 2.8% ownership in the same matchup, but he is questionable, so monitor status if you go there. On defense, we are moving our top unit to the Chargers at 4,000. Dash rank 100, projected 9, ownership around 9%, and they face Las Vegas, who have one of the worst defenses overall with an opponent rank of 31. We are chasing pressure and turnover paths in a volatile divisional setup and aligning with our Allen builds by decoupling from yesterday's Seahawks take. For a salary-saving defense, we are fine returning to the Titans at 2,200. Dash rank 27, projected 5, ownership 7.8%. And they get Jacksonville, who have one of the worst defenses overall with an opponent rank of 21. You are buying short fields and variants at near M-in price. Quick recap of changes versus yesterday. We are shifting the core quarterback back to Josh Allen for low-owned ceiling in a favorable overall matchup and leveraging the news cycle that depressed his ownership. We are elevating Bijan Robinson while keeping Tyler Allgeier as leverage. We continue to hold Nico Collins and Devon Achane. We are pivoting from Trey McBride to George Kittle for ownership leverage and salary relief. We are rotating defense to the Chargers with the Titans as the value punt. The why remains the same across spots, ownership dynamics, reliable roles, and matchup context, with news confirming usage and keeping the field off our preferred ceilings.